What if I revealed that most of the common knowledge you picked up in school is actually total historical garbage? That mental file cabinet in your brain, labeled true facts, is filled with fabrications. From the rise of ancient empires to the messy politics of the 20th century, history is littered with persistent, massive lies. Today, we're tearing down the past and exposing 15 of the biggest historical fake facts that everyone still believes. Prepare to realize your worldview has been a carefully managed illusion. Let's begin the purge. Number 1. Let's start with the heavy hitter, Marie Antoinette's cake. We've all heard the line. When told her peasants were starving with no bread, she allegedly sneered, "Let them eat cake." It's the ultimate proof of royal snobbery. The lie? She never uttered those words. The quote was written in a book decades before she was even born. Jean-Jacques Rousseau credited it to an unnamed great princess. It was classic political propaganda pinned on a foreign queen to fuel the fires of the French Revolution. Number 2. Nero played the fiddle while Rome burned. The classic image shows a depraved Emperor Nero making music as his capital turned to ash. The lie? He didn't. First of all, the fiddle hadn't been invented yet. More importantly, contemporary accounts from the historian Tacitus place Nero 35 miles away in Antium when the fire broke out. He actually rushed back to the city to coordinate relief efforts and opened his private gardens for the homeless. The musical story was just slander spread by his political enemies. Number 3. Vikings wore horned helmets. We always picture Norse warriors as bearded giants with intimidating horns on their heads. The lie? This is 100% fantasy. Despite thousands of archaeological finds from Viking graves, not a single authentic horned helmet has ever been discovered. Viking warriors were practical. They wore simple, functional, conical headgear. That iconic horned look was actually invented in 1876 by a costume designer for a Richard Wagner opera. Number 4. Salieri murdered Mozart. Thanks to the movie Amadeus, we believe a jealous, mediocre composer named Antonio Salieri poisoned the genius Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. The lie? It's pure drama. Salieri was actually a highly respected, successful composer who was a friend of Mozart and even taught one of Mozart's sons after his death. The murder rumors only started because Salieri suffered from depression late in life. Mozart likely died from a severe, sudden infection. Number 5. The Salem witches were burned at the stake. When people think of the Salem trials, they see images of terrified women being consumed by flames. The lie, not a single person was burned in Salem. Under English common law used in the colonies, witchcraft was a capital crime punished by hanging. All 20 people executed in the trials were taken to Gallows Hill and hung. The image of the burning witch comes from medieval European folklore and the Spanish Inquisition, not America. Number 6. George Washington had wooden teeth. We're taught the father of the nation suffered through his life wearing a crude, splintery wooden dentures. The lie, they were never made of wood. Washington did have terrible dental issues, but his dentures were a terrifying cocktail of gold, ivory, lead, and most disturbingly, human and animal teeth. The wood myth likely started because the ivory stained over time from port wine and tobacco, giving it a dark, grainy texture. Number 7. Columbus set out to prove the Earth was round. We were told he fought off flat earther skeptics to prove the world was a sphere. The lie, educated people already knew it was round. Scholars and the church had known the earth was a globe since the time of the ancient Greeks. Columbus's real mistake wasn't the shape of the world, but the size. His math was so bad he thought he'd hit Asia. His critics were right. He would have died at sea if he hadn't accidentally crashed into the Americas.
Number 8. Albert Einstein failed math. This is the ultimate comfort fact for struggling students. Even the world's smartest man was bad at math. The lie? He was a math prodigy. Einstein was performing years ahead of his classmates and had mastered calculus by age 15. The confusion comes from a change in his school's grading scale in 1895, where a 6 swapped from being the worst possible grade to the best. He wasn't failing, he was just bored. Number 9. Romans used vomitoriums for gluttony. We imagine decadent Romans gorging on food, then heading to a special room to purge so they could eat more. The lie? A vomitorium wasn't a bathroom. It was actually the name for the massive arched exit tunnels in stadiums and theaters designed to let huge crowds leave quickly. The name comes from the Latin vomere, meaning to spew forth, referring to the massive discharge of people out of a building. Number 10. Your blood is blue inside your body. You look at the veins in your wrist and assume that because they look blue, the deoxygenated blood inside is blue too. The lie? Your blood is always red. Even without oxygen, it's just a very dark, deep maroon. It only looks blue through your skin because of light scattering. Your skin absorbs red light wavelengths, while the blue light reflects back to your eyes. It's a trick of physics, not biology. Number 11. The forbidden fruit was an apple. We've all seen the artwork, Adam and Eve eating a red apple in the garden. The lie? The Bible never mentions an apple. It only refers to the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The apple became the standard because of a Latin pun. The word malus can mean evil, but it also happens to be the word for apple. Artists just ran with the translation error. Number 12. The Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th. We celebrate July 4th as the day the Founding Fathers gathered to sign the famous parchment. The lie? They signed it much later. Congress approved the text on July 4th, 1776, but the actual formal signing ceremony didn't take place until August 2nd. Some members didn't even put their signatures on it until months later. Number 13. People in the Middle Ages only lived to age 30. We're told the average lifespan was 30, making it sound like everyone died of old age in their 20s. The lie? This is a statistical trap. The average was pulled down by an incredibly high infant mortality rate. If you survived childhood and made it into your early 20s, your chances of living to 60 or 70 were actually quite high, provided you avoided war or a plague. Number 14. Bats are completely blind. The phrase, blind as a bat, suggests these mammals navigate only by sound. The lie, bats can see perfectly fine. In fact, some species have better night vision than humans. While they use echolocation to hunt tiny insects in total darkness, they use their eyes for long-distance navigation and watching for predators. They aren't blind, they just have a high-tech backup system. Number 15. Pocahontas saved John Smith's life. The legendary story says she threw herself over Smith to stop her father's executioner. The lie? The story is almost certainly fake. Smith didn't mention this rescue in his first accounts of his time with the tribe. It only appeared years later in a second, much more dramatic version of his memoirs. Most historians believe the execution was actually a peaceful adoption ritual that Smith misinterpreted, or he simply lied to make himself look like a romantic hero. 15 dramatic lies, all total baloney. Why do they stay in our heads? Because a simple, exciting lie usually travels faster than the boring, complex truth. History isn't just about what happened, it's about who got to tell the story. Which of these facts were you most shocked to lose? Let me know in the comments. Hit that subscribe button for more history that ruins your childhood.